we're going to be taking a look at this Laserdisc player. So this is a Pioneer CLD 2850 and it's quite a nice unit. I think it's not overly late, but sort of it's one of the later decks that does have a few nice features. One of the features that it has is the ability to play both sides of the disc without actually having to remove and flip over the disc. And this is achieved by a laser which rotates at the rear of the machine. In fact, there's an extra sort of little box on the back here with a transit screw that you need to screw in whenever you're moving the machine, because obviously you're going to be locking the laser in place for transit purposes. Now the unit itself works absolutely fine, however there are some issues with ejecting the tray, so you have to sort of flip it like that to get the tray out, and the laser mechanism sticks when trying to rotate, so you just have to go like that on top of the box. Now, hitting things to get them to work may work for Onslow from Keeping Up Appearances. If you don't know what that is, you were probably not born until the late 90s or in the 2000s, but seeing as the majority of my audience are as old as me, which is around 40, well, we'll be 40 this year, 27th of July to be exact, you will hopefully remember Keeping Up Appearances with a certain amount of fondness. I know I certainly do. It was a very entertaining programme when it was current. Back to the machine, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 screws on the side and a further 2 sort of bronzy coloured ones on the rear, which hold the top plate onto the machine. In fact, there's also a manufacture date on here. This machine was manufactured in December of 1993, which, if you sort of cast your mind back, was sort of around the time that Laserdisc really started to take off for the make that 3 screws on the back, 3 bronze screws. There's one over this transit section as well, which is where the I think the laser rotation bit resides, which was around the time when Laserdisc was beginning to get more popular. Now, I've never actually been inside this unit, so this is a bit of a voyage of discovery for myself, as well as an attempt to try and fix things. So what we want to do is we want to have a look and see, firstly, how this tray ejects. And I'm not sure if we've actually got a good shot on that. Let's move the camera up onto here. Let's lower these 2 legs on the tripod down, up onto there, and hopefully we've got a good look inside the unit. There we go. So as you can see, the whole chassis is dominated by the actual cradle that the machine sits in. The laser, which is about here at the moment, is on your sort of typical sled mechanism, and the facility to rotate the laser is at the back here. Now, it looks like it's actually done via a standard set of cogs. There's no elaborate mechanism for actually rotating the laser itself. I thought it was going to be sort of consist of a selection of belts, but appear to be proven wrong on that assumption. Now, the tray itself is driven. There is a motor that drives the tray. So let's see if we can, let's actually plug it in and see if we can work it free at all. So let's get to a plug a second. And there's a suitably placed plug. There we go. And let's power the unit on. So that's coming up. And the laser is moving up and down the sled quite happily. So if we go to eject, which is open/close, you can see that it sticks there. You can hear the motor, and if you sort of tease this, the open, and sort of tease that comes out without any issue. Now I can see that there is, over here in this section of the machine, there is a drive belt. So I will start with trying to replace that drive belt, because it seems to be that it is that is slipping. Getting to it is going to be the next challenge, because we've got this large piece of metal in the way, and you can sort of see it through here, which if we come down to here, I can show you the motor. So there's the pulley in the middle distance, which hopefully we can focus on, and the motor is just behind this grey ribbon cable here that runs onto another part of the machine, and it is that cable, oh sorry, that motor that I want to get to, and it is that particular component that I want to replace, not the motor, just the belt itself. Now in the way, we've got this top plate here, which is sitting slightly in the way, and let's have a look underneath it. Underneath there is obviously the brackets that it mounts onto, so I should theoretically be able to remove that top plate. So let's rotate this around onto here, and oh, that's disappeared inside its own leg. There. Put that back there and close this up again. Because once it's loosened, it seems to work absolutely fine, but we do have this obviously in the way. So I am going to probably completely trash this machine now. I really hope not, because it's a nice machine. I'm going to carefully remove this cover. First off, make sure that you unplug the machine, which I'll just do now. Safety first. So the machine's unplugged. Obviously, with anything electrical, in the power supply section, which is hidden in this sector of the machine, there will be a series of large capacitors, and they will tend to hold a lot of voltage even after the machine has been powered down. Now looking at this actually locks into the tray itself, so it's going to be interesting to see if I can actually remove it. There's also an added complication on the other side where it's locked into here, so I'm going to have to flip this machine sideways to see exactly what's going on here. So we've got this top plate locked into this side piece. So we're going to remove these two long screws, put them there, and we want to unlock this as well. So I'm hoping we can do that by removing these screws here and here. This one has a spring behind it, so it is worth making sure that the spring goes back onto here. So let's see if this now prizes up at all. It's a lot looser than it was, but it's still held into place by this wheel on the side. And a couple of other pieces. Let's see if we prise down this front flap. I wonder if there is... No, that won't work. How is this held in? Is if I can loosen this off, then potentially we've got access. So let's power it up again. Turn it on and go to eject. Like so. So that's now, that's pretty much free to come out, I think. So let's have a look on this side. So that pops out of there. I'm hoping that comes out completely, which is a bit disconcerting, but I'm hoping we'll get this back together. And this comes out like so. So there's a couple of pins, one here facing in and one here going into there. Gently moving this out of the way, ever so gently, gives us access to this belt, which feels tight, but it could be a bit grubby as well. So we're going to unloop this belt from here and bring that out. Let's have a look at it. So here's the belt itself, which I've just unhooked from the motor assembly. So if we go any higher, that's the highest we can go. I might be able to extend that leg again and come up on top of the Ferguson that I've got. Can't really see what I'm up to here. That's annoying. So put that there. That gives me, yeah, that gives me a good enough shot. So if I move this back and round slightly, you can see I've unhooked the belt from the motor here and the pulley here. So I think in my collection of belts I do have a suitably sized replacement. So let's have a quick look and see what we can find. What we will do is very quickly get some video head cleaner, if I can find it. Spray a little bit onto a swab that I've got here. And work that swab like so into, first off, this pulley, which is like so here. That does annoy the machine slightly. It's only annoying this motor though. That's actually ideal because it's now circulating the motor, allowing me to just wodge this in and clean the motor. I can actually do that by getting into here and activating this again. I'll soon do it the one time, but that's cleaned the motor up anyway. So if I wedge that into here, that's giving me a bit of cleaning action there, so I'll just leave that to evaporate and put this to one side. Now I've also noticed that there is an awful lot of cogs in this machine which could probably benefit from a bit of silicone grease. Now we will start applying a blob right down in here. And also into this mode selector as well. There we go. Onto this large one. That'll circulate around on its own volition. And if I get a bit onto something I can poke with. Such as this small file. I should be able to work a little bit of that onto here, this cog there, and this main cog down here. And that will gently work its way around the whole unit. This assembly of cogs rather. Not the whole unit, that wouldn't be the best thing. Right, let's see if we can hunt out suitably sized belt replacements. That's possibly a bit too small, much more. These are too big. Way too big. What size? Yeah, that's way too big, unfortunately. Too big and too small a thickness of belt. Too big. Way too small. That would stretch out though. I don't know if that's way too small, to be honest. Let's have a look. Loop over here first. No, that's going to be too small. You can tell that before even going for it. Go for it, I shall. getting grease on the belt. Oh, heck. Right, let's get that off. That's back on. And it's got grease all over the belt, so although it has fitted correctly, so there is that. It seems to be fairly happy in its new home. Doesn't seem to be under any undue pressure. That seems to be okay, so let's get this portion of the machine reassembled. So let's have a look at this. And on the underside here we've got a selection of serrated edges as well. So I'm thinking I might give those a bit of rub down with silicone as well. Working it along the whole machine. Sorry, the whole tray. There we go. Same on this side. And a little bit into grooves side of the unit, the tray, whatever. Go. Probably doing this completely wrong, but hey, I'm sure I will be advised in the comments. Thank you in advance for your comments. Keep them polite and constructive. Right, if I now come in at this angle, able to lock into these posts that locate this whole assembly. One would hope. So that's that there. So that's in now. That's actually in. Now, what I need to do is refit that top plate we removed earlier, which is this. So we've got this pointy out bit which goes up here. So we come in from the side. Come on. Alright, let's come in a slightly different way. There we go, in from the side, across the whole unit. Let's push this down like so, because we are going to be going over the tray. Again, and once more we should lock in, which does funny things to the tray, so I'm not 100% certain that's correct. Does the tray need to go in after? That's the question. So let's pull the tray out, bring this over, lock in on this side here, and at the same time that side there, that's locked in, sort of. Now what we should be able to do is take our tray and come in gently like so into the unit, knock it off its perch, which is not good, but bring it up and in, loosen that from there slightly, bring it up and over and in on both sides, there and here, and that should be making contact with that. Okay, that's made contact with the major pieces of that. Gently pushing it like that brings us back to the position we were in previously. So what I need to do now is take my sprung mini screw, small screwdriver, and put that one into here. Like so, that's one. And then we've got another one around here somewhere. I believe here. Number two. There. Should do. That's number two there. And then we've got our two top screws. That's these long gold ones, which go into here. Let's check that we are aligned with what we need to go into. Pretty certain we are. Into there. Down. And there, and also here. Gently does it. Let's see what that does. Open. Very open. That's out of sync. That's what that is. So let's do. That's actually stuck. So that's open. Yeah, let's open that fully again. Yeah, I think we might need to wind on or advance that mechanism slightly, so it's actually not working as it should. Power off. So I need to take this out again. Actually, I wonder if I can. No, why is that? How is that held in? It's held in the metal plate. So if I undo that fully. Like so. That's good. I don't actually have to remove everything. So if we spin the motor, watching this large cog here, we can actually spin in the direction of opening, which is clockwise on the motor's pulley that the belt goes onto. We go clockwise until it stops. So there is, on this mode switch, that is rotating, and that will get to a point where, actually hang a minute, that's closing. Okay, is it anti-clockwise I need to go? So if I go anti-clockwise, that is now, I was looking at it the wrong way. Yeah, it's anti-clockwise on the motor pulley. The mode switch is now advancing back, and we will get to a point where, once that is advanced as far as it will go, the machine will be under the assumption that the tray is fully open, and that point is there where it made that click. So we'll now take our tray, insert it back into the machine, to the point where it's making contact with the cog, the large cog. That large cog will start to, that slipped slightly, but that should start to drive back like so. We're now at a point where we can hopefully put these screws back in. It appears to be these two top screws actually stop the tray from coming all the way out. So we will put those in now. Gradually getting surrounded by cats, I think, as well. I've got one there, and the fat one's over there. I'm sure there was another one in here earlier as well, but I don't know where he's gone. So if I press the power button, that's now taken the tray fully in, but it still thinks, is it still trying to close, or so it's now open. Go to close. I still think it's trying to close, or has it actually fully closed? Still need to adjust that motor slightly. So if I come out again with this, it's getting there, but not quite there yet. So we're going to pull the tray out again. What it should do is it should basically go in, drop, and then lock into place. And if there is a disc in there, it will play. If there's no disc, it won't. So on the motor, going anti-clockwise, that's as far as it will go. Bring it back 1, 2, 3. Oh, hang on, that's too far. Let's actually put it all the way in now. Press to eject, that's if I'm trying to play the disc, so it thinks that that's actually in. Okay, so that's fully out. That's 1, 2. Okay, so 1 should be enough to go back, because you would assume that's going to be another turn before this is fully in the machine. As in, not fully in enough to lock it back into place. Then we go lock, and that's taking that in. and that's now fully down. There you go. So when you are refitting the tray, advance the motor anti-clockwise to its maximum open point, then go back one turn. I went from the top of the pulley back to the top of the pulley like that, and that was one complete turn. That is enough to sync up the tray. So my next challenge is this auto rotation. It's not the end of the world, because you can rotate the disc manually by ejecting and turning the disc over, which is, oh, I'm trying to reach a disc, which is the traditional way of doing it. So disc-wise, I have an interesting selection. I've got an NTSC title here, which is, I think it's an NTSC title, yeah, James Belushi in Taking Care of Business. Another NTSC title, Top Gun. Yeah, great film. Danger Zone. And one of my personal favourites, Short Circuit, which is a power copy. So we're going to give Short Circuit a bit of a whirl. I always treat these like I treat LPs, and singles. Basically take it out, get to the centre like so, and go in, open, apply. Oh, before I do that, I wanted to give that a bit of a clean, because obviously I've been in there with grubby fingers, so I don't particularly want to get any of that grease and grubbiness on the disc itself, or indeed on the laser. Which is why, thankfully, that entire laser is actually a good distance away from any of the pulley bits of the machine. You'll actually notice that we have space to play CDs, I think it's the 8-inch size laser discs you could get, and the full 12-inch laser discs. I don't think the 8-inch ones were that common. It was usually 12-inch ones, and you had, depending on the format, or it was either recorded in CAV or CLD format. I think the main difference was one was of a lower compression, so you could actually get less on the side of a disc, but you could introduce certain visual effects like slow motion, etc. One was more compressed. It's all obviously analog, but one was more compressed, so sort of almost like a long play. So let's pop this in, and is it an auto play? Oh, it's in position. So if we hit play. It's now spinning that up, which is always quite a cool thing to watch, to be honest with you. There's something quite satisfying about watching an optical disc spin. I don't know what it is. It just looks cool. So that's actually doing a frame advance. It's actually spinning a lot faster than it would. I'll go back to play. Let's pause. Is it playing? Oh, it is playing. That advances it on. Now if I press side A, what should happen? B, okay, is... Oh! Ah, hang on. Oh, that worked absolutely fine. Okay. That hasn't been previously that keen on working, so that's a bit of good news. I don't need to touch that, because I was a bit dubious about touching that, if I'm going to be fair. Now it actually plays back in minutes and seconds rather than doing a frame count, which is interesting. That's currently reading. If I go to fast forward like this, you can actually see the whole sled move ever so gently across the disc. It really is quite fun to watch. You can also go back as well. That's advancing 1, 2, 3, 4. That's taken about 4 seconds to advance a minute when you do it on the fast forward thing. Never stare directly into a laser. We'll go to side A again. Love it. It's just so nice how that works. It's sort of just such a precision mechanism. In fact, let's do that again so we can really see it in action. So we're going to go to side B. Into its little caddy. Rotate. Raise. In position. Spin up disc. Back to side A. Slow down disc. Lower disc. Lower caddy. Back into position. And done. And I think I can safely say that that is pretty much fixed. I'm not actually going to do anything else with this machine because we're in a state now where it's working. I don't want to touch any more of it. So we've managed to successfully replace the belt on the tray. We've resynced the tray. We've greased up the loading mechanism in the actual tray itself, which seems to have sort of overall improved the general operation of the unit. We're now going to stop and open. Yeah, she seems a lot happier. Hell of a lot happier actually. So we're not going to do anything else with this, apart from when I've rearranged the audio-visual arrangement up here. Give it a quick test, probably with this copy of Short Circuit. It's the Ferguson CRT I've got it here. Does not play back NTSC. Interestingly, Sony sets, particularly from about 1985 onwards, certain higher end versions do seem to play back, or decode rather, NTSC signals or inputs, which is quite nifty. So it's a useful little thing to be aware of. And that's that. So what we want to do is just exercise the tray a couple of times. Also another point here that could do with a bit of lubing. There and there, which is on the whole sort of general sled assembly. Sorry, the clamp assembly for the disc if it was in the machine. So, a bit there. And a little blob over there as well. So go to open. And close. Just works that in nicely. Open. And close. If we open that again, let's have a look at the sled for the laser, which I do not really want to touch. But you can see how greased it is. Feels quite greasy at the moment, so we'll leave it as it is. Yeah, on the whole that seems quite happy. What we could do is place a tiny bit of grease in here on the sled that the laser runs on. There we go. So the motor actually drives onto that, so that will lubricate the motor. So if we bring this out again, we put our test disc in. There's a tiny hair in there. That's annoying. It's got to the point where it's nicely hit that lube point. That's actually interesting. That's lubed up there, so let's apply a smear of grease to that as well. So that can only help matters in the long run. We use the machine's natural process to lube this up, which is quite handy. Go back to side A. Quickly catch that on the flip run there. Go back to side B. That in there. Back to side A. Just on the whole, it sounds a lot happier as well, to be honest with you. And stop, and eject. Yeah, that's much better. Right, so we've had a little bonus lubrication of the laser sled at the back, which was another thing that was causing me issues, but it seems that if you don't use these machines, they will seize up, and belts will tend to stretch beyond the point of being able to work anymore. So, quite happy with the result. We've now got another working machine, which is always good, and with the minimal expenditure and cost, also good. So obviously the case lid goes back on, reversal of how it went off in the first place. And as you can see, you've got this piece at the back here which covers the sled assembly, which is there, the rotation assembly. So we're going to go down at the front, down, pull it forward, make sure you don't snag the power cable, keep it locked in at the front, and down. There we go. And we've got our bronze screws at the back. So we've got one on the rotation assembly. And we've got one on the top. Incidentally, I forgot to cover a range of inputs and outputs this machine's got. So we have 2 SCART sockets, both in and out, which I think means you can probably wire it in series to your VCR. We've got a digital optical out, we've got a video out, composite, and phono audio out. We've got a CD deck synchro. I'm not sure what that does. Synchronises the CD deck, I would assume. We've got control in and out. Again, I'm not sure what those do, but they are there. If somebody can tell me what they are, I'd be interested to know. Or I'll just look it up on Google later, which is what I'll also do. And back on with that, like so. And then you've got the 4 screws on the side. Now you will notice that I have had the machine powered on during this entire process. Now normally I would advise against having the machine powered on, but as long as you do not touch anything in this side of the machine, which is the power supply, then, or indeed touch any of the circuitry, you should be fine from electric shocks or damaging the machine. And to be perfectly honest with you, on this particular occasion, we needed to have access to the inside of the machine whilst it was in operation, so that we could get everything synchronised and also lubricate the certain parts of the machine that we needed to lubricate. And there we go, that's reassembled. And over, down, and gently placed down. And focus on the machine again. Right, anyway, that's it for today. If you have found this video interesting, don't forget to hit that like button. If you've got any constructive comments, feel free to make them in the comments below. Also consider subscribing. It's always good if you subscribe. Helps the channel and helps my sanity. It's always nice to know that I'm not doing these things in vain, although it is fun, to be honest with you. It does encourage me to get stuck in with stuff. So if you want to see more, don't forget to hit that like button. Also consider subscribing for more upcoming fascinating hobbies. Thanks for watching and see you next time.